Mexico has agreed to deploy its new National Guard that was just implemented since the new president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, took office in December. And he has committed to deploying at least 6,000 elements that will be spread across the southern border with Guatemala. But also, Mexico has agreed to allow people to remain in Mexico while they are waiting for their asylum claims, and has said that they will commit to providing them with health and education and services. And as we have seen, this does not seem very possible. One, Mexico cannot really actually provide that to its own citizens, much less to migrants. Last year, following the caravans, and then earlier this year, Trump did start a program where migrants did something called Remain in Mexico. Once they had applied for asylum in the United States, already been in the United States, they had to return to Mexico and wait for their asylum proceedings. Many were never able to make it then across the border again to their asylum proceedings. And also many of the border cities in which they're waiting are very violent, and there are instances where migrants who are waiting to be able to enter the U.S. were murdered. So I don't know what Mexico is planning to do really to deal with this large numbers of migrants who will be waiting for asylum. And actually just a few weeks ago, a 10-year-old Guatemalan girl died in a shelter while in migration detention in Mexico City. It hasn't really made the news that much, but this also shows that Mexico does not really have the capacity to help more migrants.
And you bring up a good point, and I wanted to ask you how you think that this will actually impact things on the ground. There have already been hundreds of thousands of people detained along the border this month, causing real humanitarian concerns, some of which you just addressed right there. Is this likely to improve the situation there at all?
I don't think so. I think it will just make it worse, actually, because it's important to note that Mexico does have a program to prevent migrants coming into their borders. And it's also not just Central American migrants. Migrants come from Haiti, from Africa, from Asia, and from various parts of the world. But what we did see, and why this became such big news, also related to Trump's tweets about the caravan, is that Mexican migration authorities do often deport, and they actually deport more than the United States, deport migrants to Central America. It's the caravans that Mexico migration authorities were not deporting. But now this year, since even though the new president has said that he will take more humanitarian efforts, they have been repeatedly rounding up and arbitrarily detaining migrants. So this will just mean that more migrants will be, once entering Mexico, will be detained and deported. And as I just mentioned, based on just there's not a good documentation of what the conditions are like in detention, how these deportations are being held out. So it is really concern for more humanitarian crisis to be.